Hi everyone. In this virtual video, you guys are going to create two chunks of code, one for the pressure sensor and one for the photocell resistor. So looking at Project Lead the Way, activity 2.1, I'm going to scroll down quite a ways. You and I have moved through the light test where it made a wave. We had a chance to do the compass and accelerometer virtually. You got to come in and put it on a microbit. Scrolling down. In class, we started looking at sending our digital input test so that you could hold the A button. You took a picture of that smiley face showing up. Down at the bottom here, we talked about analog and digital, and we're in the pressure sensor. So in class, we started to use our analog value code to figure out what numbers did we get with our pressure sensor. Now my numbers you see here don't exactly mean the same thing for you. Each pressure sensor is different depending on the amount of power that you're giving it. Also changes based on just the sensor itself. How well are the cords connected? So these numbers are going to be different for you. We're going to create a chunk of code, scrolling down a little bit. So we're going to code our program so that if the analog read pin senses a pressure that is higher than 500, then a horizontal line appears. Sorry, if it's less than 500. If it's greater than 500, then it's going to show a smiley face on there. Okay, so we're looking at step 37 here. We're going to call this pressure sensor. So I've already gone a quick step ahead of you. I've already opened up Google Chrome through Citrix Workspace. Very important you're doing it inside of here. We've already had some people losing some files because they're not working in the workspace. I'm going to grab my mouse and I'm going to start a new project. So this new project is going to be called pressure sensor. And your last name helps as well. Okay, we're going to create this. So again, this one is going to be a forever. We're going to continually question the pin. We're going to be using a logic if then else statement. Hopefully this is looking very similar to the input that we used before. Now up here in the input, we asked if the A button was being pressed in the last one. I'm going to do it a little different here. I'm going to click on Advanced, scroll down into the pins, and we're going to question what's going on with the analog read pin P0. But you notice this doesn't fit inside of here. The shape doesn't match. Well, that's because we have to compare this number to a number. We're going to come into our logic drawer and we're going to grab a comparison. You'll notice the hexagon fits inside of there. We're going to do an analog read pin P0. So that block that we brought in is going to fit in the front. And we want to know if the pin is greater than 500. Click inside of here and open my keyboard. If the pin goes high and there's a lot of pressure and it goes above 500, we want to see a smiley face. Now I'm just going to bring an icon in, make my life easy. They have a built-in smiley face for us. If there is no pressure we're going to find out that all of ours dip below 500, somewhere in the 300 range if there's no pressure down. So if that happens, we want to show a straight line. So we're going to pull a show LEDs and just make a straight line on here. So if the pin is high, then show a smile. Else, if it's not above 500, I want to show a line. You can test this out over here. As I'm raising that up, as soon as I get above 500, that means I had full pressure down. Smile. If I drop it down, I get a straight line. So we're going to save this one. So important you guys are saving. Those of you that say you're losing your stuff, we changed our download locations. We triple checked that. You need to make sure you're saving that file, and that's now in your H drive, so when you come into school, we can work with that. All right, that was the pressure sensor. Let's move directly into the photocell resistor. I'm going to make a new project. This is photocell resistor and your last name. Resistor. There we go. Let's go look at Project Lead the Way. What were they asking for? Photocell resistor is the next one. So this gets plugged in. You'll notice in their little animation here, they're going to be plugging it into 3V and pin 1. Totally okay to use pin 0, 1, or 2, just as long as you're coding for that. So your code will begin to run. Let's take a look here. We're going to end up using the analog value to find out the values on there. You're going to notice the photocell resistor never dips as low as the pressure sensor. It always holds a number in the 800s, 700s, depends how dark it is. You're going to have to test yours out in school. When it is bright enough, though, it does start to peak up towards 1,000, 1,017. So we're going to pick a number somewhere in between there. You may have to adjust this at a later point, but we're going to use 900 for ours. Looking through here, so it's going to show an arrow pointing up when the photocell resistor is not covered. If it's not covered, that means that it's bright and the number is going to go up. So if we have a high number, it should show an arrow up. If the photocell resistor is covered and it's dark, that number is going to dip. If that happens, we want an arrow pointing down. Okay, so on our code here, photocell resistor, I'm going to go in and grab, well, first I'll delete my on start. We're going to go and grab the if then else statement that we've been using already. We know that there's a comparison going on in there. Now I'm going to change that to a greater than. And then we need to go back into our pins drawer and grab the analog read, just like we did with the pressure sensor. We're reading an analog sensor. So for this one, though, we're going to change it up a little bit. When you guys come to school, you're going to be plugging in your photocell resistor into the 3V and pin 1. So we're going to change this to read pin 1. And we want to know if it's greater than 900. Opening up my keyboard, 900. If it is greater than 900, that means that it's bright in the room. That means that the pin is starting to get a higher value. So if that happens, we want to show an arrow pointing up. Well, to be honest, I don't know. I'm going to see if there's an icon for an arrow pointing up. Hey, that one kind of looks like a house. Nope. No icon, so we're going to make it ourselves. In the basic drawer, we're going to go Show LEDs. We want to create our own. I'm going to tap on these with my finger. And arrow pointing up. So then if you were to cover up that photocell resistor, the number is going to start to dip. If it starts to dip, we want to show an arrow pointing down. So Show LEDs. I'm just going to tap on those LEDs and make an arrow pointing down. All right, the code looks very similar because it's just a sensor that we're using, but we're using a different value. So this one we're going to work with 900 to start with. And this one we're going to be working with pin 1 for the photocell resistor just to try something different. Very important, when you are done with this, you come down and click the save. You want to make sure that you've saved this. We definitely are going to need to take a picture of this in school, throw it on our documents, and then use this with our microbits in school. So please finish up both of these codes. Make sure they're saved into your H drives. Double check, triple check. If you need to, you can show it in folder. You can see, make sure that it was going into your H drive. Okay, and when you get back into school, we'll have some fun with the microbits and test these out. All right, good job, everyone. I'll see you next time.